This is Dale Matthews, and Mike and I have news for you tonight, don't we, Mike?
Yes, the river is full of arsenic.
No, it's not. But and one good part, you can come here and you're going to get your news, or you can wait till tomorrow, maybe the next day, and read it in the Daily Courier somewhere tomorrow afternoon, or maybe you can wait till Hades freezes over, and it might be in Kejo. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to get the news aside from us. And the TV stations don't know anything about this. But we're going to go revisit the whole story of Fielder Dam. Now, it's going to be more interesting than that because there's new information that's going to rock you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the little bits and clips that led up to today's weekly business session. We're the only ones with audio of it. Of what the people at the podium were saying, because once again, the information technology people, they cannot do their job. Get rid of the first thing I would do if I was a county commissioner is I'd say, thank you very much. And I would take part of their budget out and I would give the job to somebody that would do the job correctly. And Mike says, what would happen in the commercial world if that happened one time, Mike?
Yeah, done. I mean, as soon as you take a professional talk host and you go on air and he starts talking into his mic and nothing comes out, that's it. You're toast. Because you were supposed to redundantly test the holy living, what out of it, pre-program. And if you didn't do it, well, then you're done. And we'll just move on to the next guy. But no, it was silly today. Everybody's mic was working except for the mic there for any public
for citizens. Yes, well,
yeah, for citizens.
Yes, right.
Yes, and of course that can launch all kinds of conspiracy theories. I don't think it was a conspiracy.
No,
I think it was
conspiracy or lunkheads. What's the rule? Yes. Everybody knows.
Lunkheads, yes. And and I saw how there's this little teeny wire, and you know what? It's odd because the wire. Here's a wire. This is like that feeds a webcam. This wire is about maybe 3/4 this size. That is the mic cable for that podium, and he was like setting the podium down on top of it and
slamming it down on there. Slam. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working.
Yes, I don't get it. He's unplugging it, plugging it back in. It was silly. It really was. And if it weren't for the fact that just by chance I knew that there was going to be something going on, and I had a camera there with a shotgun mic going into a little auxiliary recorder. And so I sat there next to the podium and recorded speakers. If we did not do that, the audio quality that we would have would be very low.
It would be about the same as one of our clips tonight, which was videotaped in the little back room where they won't let us set up any kind of microphone so we can hear what they're saying. And Simon Hare's response to this was, well, it's almost unbelievable. His response was, all that really counts is that we can hear you.
Yeah.
I don't think they really can hear us, first of all. And it's that imperial attitude. Now, really, you know this by now.
Well, I think that people that were watching on TV that couldn't hear anything were wishing that they could hear what was going on, because this was a major thing today. Something happened at the weekly business session that almost never happens, which we'll go into a little bit later.
Yes, well, we're going to go into it pretty dang quickly here. So as you see over my shoulder, it might be a little hard to read that. It says arsenic and it says poison. Mm-hmm. Is there really arsenic in the water? Where did this talk of arsenic come up in the first place?
Loaded with arsenic.
Right. Where did that talk come from?
You want to kill off your mother-in-law? Scoop a little bit of the rogue and bingo.
Now, so you watch this first clip, and we're not going to show you all of it because it was really long. It was like half an hour. You watch this first clip, and we hear Eric Shosma of Grants Pass Water. He's talking about arsenic and other things. Then when you watch the second clip, you'll see, here's the rule. Just like, is it conspiracy or lunkheads? That's one good rule, one rule of thumb, heuristics. Another good rule is anytime you hear something, you go, That's really odd. Aha! You should jump on that. That's what investigative journalists, you're with us now. That's what investigative journalists like us, that's what we do. You hear something, you go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Aha! So I'd mentioned on this show back when it happened, what happened to the mention of the word arsenic? What happened to that? Was it just a coincidence? No. 4 different times they talked about it. They listed the chemicals, and arsenic wasn't among them. What's going on here? So let's watch the first clip. This is from when Eric Shossma first sat down with, it was a kind of a setup. This is a Cheryl Walker project, and it looks like it's a Diane Hoover of the health department, but she's the liaison to Diane Hoover. It's a Cheryl Walker project. Listen.
At the top, there's elevated levels of the aluminum. Arsenic is over the EPA limit. There's a number of other potential contaminants there. We were testing it for mercury. I showed trace mercury, and there was concern about the old mine upstream that purportedly was a uranium mine, and we did show trace uranium also in that scraping.
Now, when you listen to that, my gosh, what's the hot word? It's not aluminum. I drink sometimes soda out of an aluminum can.
Yes. Well, but aluminum has been identified as one of the contributors, potential contributors, suspected contributor to Alzheimer's disease.
But aluminum, saying there's aluminum in the water is not going to get you a $135,000 a year contract.
Yeah, probably not.
Now that's what is it? $13,000 a month? No, how much is that right? That can't be right. $10,000, $11,000 a month? $135,000 divided by 12 is going to be
it's
11.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of money. It's more than 10 grand a month.
I think it's about $11,000 a month, something like that. $11,000 a month. What a deal!
Yeah,
to test salmon and bugs. I'm not making this up. And to test in Jackson County. Really? Okay, so he mentioned arsenic. That's going to get your attention. Is there really arsenic in this? Okay, let's see the next little clip.
If you look at your reports, do you think the aluminum in the aqueous sample was at 20 parts per million? In the sediment sample, it was 17,065 parts per million. The arsenic, which was at 7 parts per billion, was 21.1 parts per million. So we're talking about 3 magnitudes higher in the sediment samples. And then the other one that was concerned was the chromium that I was seeing coming out in the sediment. It wasn't qualified for hexavalent. I didn't speciate the chromium for CR3 and CR6. It was the total chromium, and that's also a concern that we have coming down the watershed.
Now, he did not speciate. Did not speciate?
Oh, man.
He did not speciate the hexavalent chromium, okay? All right, that's chromium 6. All right, so look, here's the point. What are the hot words here for people who know? The hot word is not aluminum, sorry. The hot word is chromium 6 for people who know. And for everybody else in the universe, it's going to be arsenic, right? And what did he say about arsenic? What were those numbers again? Because he said it pretty quickly. It was from 7 parts per billion to 21 parts per million.
Right.
Now, okay, so math isn't everybody's favorite thing, but when you go from billion to million, that's 1,000 times different.
Right.
And so what that means is it's 3 times 7, which is 3. 3 times 7 is 3. Very good. 21. And then it's times 1,000. What that means is, and this is what we put on Facebook as part of our duty to inform you, is that supposedly, according to Eric Shossma of the Grants Pass Water Lab, the arsenic level was 3,000 times the allowed level for human beings. 3,000 times. Is that not what he said, Mike?
Yeah, somewhere in that department, yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. And that's where it came from us. That's where the news about 3,000 times came on. And there were a couple of people, movers and shakers in the community, that jumped in and goes, that can't be right. That seems odd. And And then there were people who said, oh, that's definitely right. I'm backing that 100%.
Yeah.
So what's the case here?
Hmm.
Now we go to, and that was how that this company ended up with a 5-year contract, not a 1-year contract, a 5-year contract renewable every year at $135,000 a year. Now, some goofy guy is going to summarize this to the county commissioners. Go ahead, Mike.
So the Fielder Dam was in place for about 85 years
Goofy guy.
and accumulated approximately 30 feet of sediment behind it. The sediment contained elevated levels of aluminum, iron, and detectable levels of uranium.
Hey, wait a minute. There were a couple of missing words. Now, this happened 4 different times during her presentation to the commissioners. I haven't put up all 4 for you. 4 times. What are the words that are missing? Well, where's hexavalent chromium? And where's the big bugaboo? Where's the alarm? Where's that alarm word? Where's arsenic? And I leaned over to Mike during that meeting and I said, she said it now twice and she ended up saying it 4 times. What's the matter with his fingers? She ended up saying it 4 times. I do have a thumb. Okay, and she never mentioned arsenic. What happened to arsenic? She sat right there when Eric Schassman did the sales pitch, and the commissioners decided we got to do something about this. And arsenic was mentioned, remember, 3,000 times above the. Think of the children, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, what happened to the word arsenic? Whenever you say, gee, that's a little odd. Now, I think now, we have a goofy guy. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. So a lot of our viewers at badcounty.com were a little perplexed about why the county was going to be going it alone so far on paying for water testing. So I went to the city council meeting after this last one, and I said, you know, what I've heard in the little back room is a couple of times now Cheryl Walker has said that the city, Grants Pass City, is not really interested in doing this testing. There were a lot of surprised city council members to find that this was being said about them. And one of the things I quoted was that Simon Harrod even said, now, it looks like we're watering something having to do with water coming into parks, but the city of Grants Pass residents are actually drinking this water. And is there any way of doing, we all asked, any kind of testing aside from signing the 1-year part of what's going to end up being a 5-year contract? A lot of people didn't catch that. It's a 5-year contract. That's a lot of money. And as Simon Harrod pointed out, gee, that money could be used for safety, public safety. And Cheryl Walker had said, well, think about the children, you know, the children could end up with cancer or something.
She did say that.
After I left the city council meeting, toward the end, they have a protected time too, when most people are not in the audience. And Roy Lindsay said, you know, we've got to stop these lies. He was talking about me. It's lies, it's lies. We definitely do care about water. You know, we got to do something about people getting up here and saying these lies. He wasn't listening very carefully because I wasn't saying that the city wasn't interested. I was saying Cheryl Walker had said that the city wasn't interested. So he was criticizing the wrong person unless he was saying Cheryl Walker's a liar. I don't think he was saying that. So it does beg the question, why is the county going it alone so far on paying entirely on our own for water testing in Jackson County and testing fish and invertebrates, little bugs? Why are we doing this? And why couldn't we, I understand the impetus to get some kind of test done right away because maybe it's going to start raining. Well, it's a little too late for that, but okay. Maybe it's going to, and we got to get this done and we got to sign a first year of 5-year contract. No, send somebody out, maybe from the city, and have them do the test before the waters start coming down out of the sky. If you want to preserve that, as a baseline. The city doesn't do any baseline studies. This is impossible. Of course they do. But we're going to do it all on our own. Congratulations.
What kind of BS is this?
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine that guy? The gall of him to get up there and say those things in front of the commissioners.
All right, so right away, Keith Hicks says, well, and then now the next, well, I've got something I want to say. And this is Cheryl Walker. You know what she's going to say.
Oh, yeah.
I knew what she was going to say, but she got sidetracked. They said, well, why don't we let some more people talk? And then Mark Seligman came up and he started talking about, who would have guessed, marijuana. And they all got shunted off to talking about marijuana and what's wrong with Mark
Seligman. Forgot all about Dale, the outrageous things that Dale said.
But she came back in at the end and remembered, because she's furiously writing notes. Oh, and Dale Matthews is always saying stuff. Yeah. And he says that I said that they're not interested, and I would never, ever say it. And how can he dare to say that I would say that I never said it? Well, you know what?
Yes.
She did not say, and I didn't do this. Okay, I didn't, because I hate that. Just stupid looking. But you know,
I do it all the time. That's why he said that, because he hates me.
Oh no. Okay, so so did she say the city's not interested? No, but listen to exactly what she did. And for those who, well, when we parse the words and it's in English, just shut up and listen to what she actually said. This is great. I love it when she does this. Go ahead, Mike.
Guy.
Yeah, little back room.
Yes. All right. Come on. Kickstarting it here.
Come on.
Only enough parts to utilize it for any kind of public.
Well, and Diane Hoover's not here today, but she was the one that was doing the contacts. And she's contacting legislators, City of Red River, City of Grants Pass. Yeah, City of Grants Pass. I'm trying to think of all the people on her list. But she's the one that's making the contacts. And,
Yeah, because we would want to duplicate what they may be doing.
they're not.
All right. I confess, she did not say they're not interested. He said they're not doing anything, and she said they're not. So okay, hang me.
Which is total agreement with that. It's the exact same thing. You know, like you said, you get into parsing. Oh, she didn't say exactly that. You run into this on Facebook all the time. He didn't put a "the" in there. Therefore, everything you just said is completely invalid.
Who is the queen of that? Do you want to say? Mike doesn't like to say.
I know who you think. This is not who I'm actually. I was just speaking generically.
Okay, we'll leave her out.
Diane Mackin.
Oh, I was going to leave her out, but you're right.
Listen.
Well, how many angels can dance on the head of a pin?
Well, listen,
please.
If she doesn't want to be
blowing,
if she doesn't want to be thought of that way, she can always stop doing that. So
yeah.
You know,
or like a candidate that will always ask you questions rather than answering anything. Okay. So anyway, did she say that they're not interested? Yes. I didn't think her exact words were that. She says they're not interested. Yeah. Well. Okay.
Right. And you know, to lay the groundwork for that, Simon asked the exact perfect question. We wouldn't want to be
duplicating.
We wouldn't want to be duplicating anything that the counterpart in the city is doing.
And then Keith says they're not going to do that.
Right.
She says they're not.
Well, yeah, and how does he know that? Did he ask anybody? Did they talk to the water department people at all? Or were they just going to do this heroic thing? We're going to swoop in here and we're going to test this thing and we're going to find all kinds of crazy stuff and we're going to be the heroes. You just watch and wait. We will.
Somebody's going to get a big fat contract, and it's a 5-year contract to do a test that could be done for $100 and some.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I won't jump in with this too quick because we haven't gotten to the good part yet.
Oh, we're going to get there, but it's important to note this is a county that's hanging on by its fingernails. We can't support the sheriff. We can't get and Simon Harris said a couple of times, well, wouldn't it be more effective? Oh, I don't know, to support, let's say, support your local sheriff, to get yet another sheriff's deputy out on the road, and then now what's Cheryl Walker going to answer? This is her project. What's she say? Well, but Simon, think about the children.
Yeah, you know what's weird?
You just saved the life of one child from a disfiguring disease.
Yes. Understand that this 135,000 in this particular case, and you'll see this later on in the program, they were essentially taking this $135,000 in cash, okay, ramming it into the end of a cannon, lighting the fuse, and then watching the confetti rain all over the streets. That's essentially what was about to happen in this. And it may still, you never know. These people may be that moronic.
You think that they were jamming it down a cannon or down something else?
Okay, yeah, but I mean, you visualize confetti.
Yes,
that used to be money everywhere, perfectly good money, not their money, taxpayer money that could have been spent towards any number of things that would have been better spent on the county's behalf.
Now where all this stuff really starts to stink is when you get down to the details of what they're saying, because at this meeting, and we're going to show you more of this, not tonight but other nights, okay, every night from now on for the rest of time, permanently.
Yes. Permanent.
Until the end of time, according to the judge. And one of the things that was said is Keith Eck, when Simon Hare asked him where the money was coming from, well, it's definitely not coming from the general fund. Yes, it is. Don't lie to us, Keith. They'll say anything sometimes to make it sound better. Oh, well, I didn't mean that. I meant, what is it that you like? Well, we like this. Oh, well, that's what I meant.
Yes. Well, I think...
It sounds like one of the candidates for county commissioner who will tell you anything as long as it fits in with your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a chameleon, a female chameleon.
Yes.
Yeah, anything at all, as long as you leave them alone and stop asking him these questions. He actually said it's not going to come from the general fund. One, does he know? I think maybe he does. On the other hand, if he doesn't know, why is he in office? Well, anyway, so we did show, this wasn't just by coincidence that Mike showed up with another camera. It was because we have sources behind the scenes that are telling us, hey, there's something big coming. We didn't tell the Courier. We didn't tell, we don't bother telling a radio station, but we didn't tell the TV stations, could have. We just care enough just to be the first ones to bring it to you. I was saying to Mike, I don't want to wait till 7 o'clock to put on this show. Let's put it on right now. Well, okay. So now here's just a little bit of research that was done by a couple of great citizens. Go ahead, Mike.
Do you want to show what they said at the weekly business session?
Yes, first,
okay.
Weekly business session. Thank you.
Here we go.
My name is Viken Nakudian, also Grants Pass, and Vingen, that's the first name. Last name is Nok.
This is quick video. It's not perfect looking, but.
And there goes half my time. Okay, I get that a lot. So I'd also like to speak about this water issue. We heard that some guy was going door to door saying there's arsenic in the drinking water. Joseph Rice is blasting all over Facebook pictures of dead fish and weird looking colors on top of the water by Fielder Dam. He's going on about 3,000 to 6,000 times the safe level of arsenic in the water. Arsenic, that's dangerous stuff. Wow. So some of us concerned citizens actually did this test that Dale just mentioned. We went out and collected samples, and actually we did this after a night of heavy rain because we were concerned about the safety of our water. And we went up all the way, just right up below the Fielder Dam site and collected samples there, right where the water's washing off the sediments and all that, because by golly, if there's going to be dangerous levels of arsenic, that's where it's going to be. And we took these samples, and Roy Lindsay actually accompanied us on one of these trips to make sure that custody of samples was kept. And, no arsenic. I mean, negligible, nothing. Why? Why are these claims of 3,000 to 6,000 times floating around out there? Why this huge scare? Well, I guess there was a pretty fat contract, if we're trying to do something about it. It seems what was really tested was the sediments in the water. One had to take scrapings of sediments And then even that wouldn't put the poisons into the water. One would have to add acid to the water to dissolve the sediments, to release the poisons, and then generate those kinds of numbers. Because we took samples of the water that's washing through those sediments. Nature is not releasing those toxins. Those sediments get washed down our rivers all the time. That's normal. We have a lot of minerals in our sediments around here, and that's just washed out to the ocean. But you have to do something clever to release those toxins into the water to scare up the kind of money, and the numbers that we heard about.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I'd like
nice
to thank
one.
Roy Lindsay for coming to go on with us to take these samples and get them tested. I invite you guys to do the same thing. Come with us, get the water tested right below field or dam where the danger is. We could even do it after a rainy night if you like. But that money really should be going to something that is related to our safety. For example, another deputy for the sheriff's office, that'd be nice. I believe we need to look more carefully at what was done to convince you guys that there was actually a threat. I drink the city water. I'm going to go to the fountain back here in a minute and have a sip because, boy, am I ever glad to find out we're not actually in danger from arsenic in our water. Thank you very much.
Now, one of the things that you should be wondering about, we did, is, well, it's some citizen that goes out with a Dixie cup or whatever, and he takes a sample, but, are they really having it tested correctly? Well, it just turns out that he took with him someone that is a scientist in this area, and then they took it to the most reputable lab in this entire area, and they had them test it. A lab that is not trying to sign a 5-year contract to do this test of over $500,000. Another lab altogether. The other lab, and this is very strange because another thing that happened in that little meeting that we showed you, and we're going to show them all to you, okay? We've shown them to you before. We're going to re-show them to you, is Simon Harris says, well, how was this company, the guy sitting in front of him, how were they picked? Well, we put it out for 3 different companies, and one of the companies said, we don't do that kind of work. Maybe not so good vetting. And another one said, well, we can't really do it. Yeah, really? And this is the only one that said that they could. Well, what happened to this outfit that these guys went to? They supposedly are the best in the state at what they do, and they didn't know anything about it. What kind of process did they go through? And legal counsel's people are saying, oh, well, we did it too. Well, we just did it perfectly when you think about it. Maybe not so much. I would have believed that when this new legal counsel was first elected. I don't think so now. And you may recall at that meeting, some of you are going to recall that Wally Hicks was sitting there, and when Eric Shosma came in, doesn't mean that you can't have friends. Okay, I don't have any, but it doesn't mean you can't have friends. And Wally Hicks says, well, this guy is a personal acquaintance and friend of mine, and he got up and left the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff is, and that's when you say, what is it that we told you? Gee, that seems a little odd. Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, of course, had he stayed in the meeting being
That'd be worse.
A close friend of the guy, yeah, that would have been worse. So.
Would have been worse. That's right. But
and to stay in the meeting and never mention the association, that would be worse again yet.
That's Keith Eck, Cheryl Walker, Simon Hare kind of tactics, okay? But it's maybe not that far, at least he wasn't at that point. But the question now is, did they really do this contract right? Did they really? Because whose office did it have to go through to do this contract? Legal counsel.
Okay, yeah, but you know what? Listen, it's not Wally's problem that these guys are incompetent and don't realize that this isn't that big a deal. They can get this work done a hell of a lot less expensive than this.
No, it's everybody's problem. It's not Wally's problem.
Well, no, I mean, it is. Wally wrote up the contract, and thank God he wrote it up with a 30-day cancellation, in there, because that may well be they may well be exercising that. Yes,
and it's time to exercise, and like that Peter Blatty book and the film, with the girls, the head that spins around. Yeah, right. Throws a pea soup.
Yeah. Right.
Exercise. Now we see Lori Johansson, a hero in this area, and you'll see what she has to say about these tests. Lori. That was short.
Laurie Johansson, Grants Pass. I'm also a former NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory scientist in planetology, as well as carrying a degree in geology from Occidental College. And I'm the bearer of good news. When you were voting the other day on that huge contract for the water testing, there's some things that you were not informed of, and I'm here to inform you. I think you'll be pleased. First off, the Grants Pass Water Lab and Eric Shaftsma are not accredited to do anything with sediment. Their accreditation is only for drinking water and non-potable water. And there's a comprehensive national database. You can look this up for yourself if you want to. I've sent you an email which includes the link for that. And so basically, when he was coming to you with scary numbers based on sediments, he was speaking in a way that was not appropriate because he is not accredited to do anything with sediments, first off. So take what he said with a big grain of salt. There are lots of people out there who did not take it with a grain of salt and then started to try to create a public panic about this to pressure you folks to make a decision.
You should have seen Cheryl's expression during all this testimony. She wasn't just upset with me. She was just beside herself with them. And she kept going like this and like this and like this. It was like out, down spot. I mean, she was chewing nails. And I don't mean this kind. I mean the other kind, iron nails. She was so unhappy because she's the one that was pressing for this more than anybody else. Go ahead, Mike.
Below the dam, right where, coming right off the sediments and flowing down the stream, just 250 meters below, the water there has less than 1 part per billion of arsenic. The danger level for water for arsenic was 10 parts per billion. So this is less than 1/10 of what would be dangerous. How do we know that? Well, because my friends and I, being good citizens and concerned, and since I'm have a science background, I know how to take samples like that. It's not brain surgery. I can do that. We went and we did it right. And we took it to the most accredited lab in Southern Oregon. It's also the most highly accredited lab in all of Oregon for drinking water. It's called Nielsen Research Corporation. It's right over on G Street. Your neighbors, right near there. And we filmed this collecting of samples so that people could see exactly what we did, exactly where we did it, so they can replicate it if they want. There's nothing mysterious about how we did it. There's no secrets here. It's completely transparent. So we took the first 3 samples over to Nielsen Research Corporation, and I paid $114 to get the 3 samples taken care of. And we told them a little bit about why we were doing this, and they were very surprised. They had not heard that there was even any bidding going on for this contract.
Really?
The first day you heard of it was when I walked through the door. And given their...
Thank you. And you can submit whatever comments you have too. Or you have them written down, so feel free to let us have them.
Okay, I have actually emailed you.
Yes, I've seen the email, but I haven't had a chance to really read it.
Okay, and if you'd like me to come back and make a presentation more detailed,
okay,
I'd be glad to.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to
We
happen.
didn't cross anybody else with this.
Sorry. This is really important. Can I have just 1 minute?
For quiet, just to hand it to her, no, because then I have to open it up to everybody else.
May I talk to you?
You certainly may.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot.
Now we're recording. That's it.
My name's Kelda Diffendaffer. I'm Grants Pass.
Slow down and.
Sorry.
Do that.
Another terrible name.
First name.
Kelda and Diffendaffer, Diffendaffer.
The first time you had to do that.
No, it's not. I am Laurie Johansson's daughter, and I've been kind of watching along as she did this. And I would like to present that Nielsen Research Corporation, after getting some samples from her, offered to test the one she brought in for free. Oh. And furthermore, they've offered a proposal to do the testing And they would like to do it each week for 1 year at the City of Grants Pass water filtration plant, and they're offering to do it for free. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Simon.
That was the slam dunk of the whole thing. And look at the expression. I'll cut this back over. Whoops. Yikes.
Not his expression.
Yeah, not that guy again. But
look at Simon.
You look at him. Is that one of those eating grins you've ever seen? He was against this thing from the get-go, and this is like karma coming back to crush his opponents here.
And Cheryl was writing notes.
Yes. Yeah, right. That's exactly what
I hate you. Yeah, and Simon looks like, I tried to tell you. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah, it is. It's free, this thing about doing it for free, does that remind you of anything, Mike? Let's see.
Yes.
There's something that's been going wrong in almost every weekly business session, and we never had any problems with it. I'm giving it away. And we offered to continue doing it absolutely for free when every time we did it was flawless, and they don't want it for free. They'd rather have constant problems like this thing was. We offered to sit in the back room and run these meetings, not run the meetings, but run the audio for us so that you could see it absolutely for free. Now, are they going to turn down this free offer because it's not with the people they chose?
Yes, they are. And you know what? But this situation was public humiliation because obviously they didn't do their homework. They didn't even had they consulted every business in the city of Grants Pass, they would have found these guys.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. It is public humiliation if anybody could hear it. But somehow nobody at home could hear that. We have the only recording of this. Because my understanding is the audio recording in that room comes off of the video stream. I think that's the case. We're the only ones that can play back for you what happened. Really?
Right. And I'll tell you something, this show is going to get more views in the next 24 hours than they ever would get on that copy of the weekly business session.
It already does.
It's better. It's good that we were there and we had a mic there. And
you were there with us. And they finally let me speak at this meeting. You may have noticed, those of you who notice such things, that they let me speak. Like, oh, well, what was the problem? There was never a problem. Why, go right ahead. What's your beef? Yeah. So they let me speak. Now, speaking of let people speak, now, so Vika Nikodian, he did a video along with Lori Johansson to try to explain to you in a kind of a happy way what this is all about. And we thought we'd play that back for you too. Right, Mike?
Yeah, there it is.
The city of Grants Pass gets its drinking water from the lovely Rogue River. The big question is it safe?
A little sarcasm.
Joseph Rice has warned locals not to irrigate. After all, there's uranium, mercury, and arsenic in the water from a Superfund site. He doesn't play fast and loose with the facts, he says. The Superfund statement came out of a DEQ employee. And to get confirmation of that, we're supposed to contact Alan Air. So, how bad is it? Toxic levels 4,000 to 6,000 times above the safe limits. He's not alone making alarming claims.
The arsenic, which was at 7 parts per billion, is 21.1 parts per million. So we're talking about 3 magnitudes higher in the sediment samples.
That looks familiar.
Science background, we were skeptical of these claims and decided to collect some hard facts. Even Joseph Rice suggested we go collect our own samples and turn them in. So you know what? We did.
That's very interesting coincidence because all along Simon Hare's been saying, oh, you don't think that we're doing these meetings correctly? You think we're breaking the law? Why don't you go to the Oregon Ethics Commission and turn us in? Well, you can just do that anytime. They were taunting us. They were laughing at us. So we did again and again and again. And finally it stuck. They're telling you, go do it yourself, and then you go do it. And it turns out, guess what?
Yes.
Ahead,
you know what? Number one, when you're going to go into social media or you're going to get in front of a bunch of people and say a bunch of stuff, you better be right. because
It really
you know,
helps.
sooner or later somebody is perhaps going to, you know, track down the facts, the actual facts.
There's no
And-
porn at the library. You can take my word for
right.
it.
Yes. No, it's the same thing. So anyway, here we go. Yes, this is swinging music, baby.
Yeah, let's get down.
The first and most obvious location
Now I gotta go
was
to the
the
bathroom.
tap water. I mean,
Yes.
if this stuff's in the water and we might be drinking it, that would be really unsafe. So we got a tap water sample and sent it in for testing. And you know what? Oh, look at that. No arsenic. Well, that's a relief. The next location, the Rogue River. Well, that's where our drinking water comes from. So we trooped on down to the Rogue with jars in hand and took another nice, fresh sample. We chose a location right across the river from where the city takes up the water to be treated for drinking. I mean, hey, if there's bad stuff in the water, this is where it's going to be, right? This is where it counts. So we carefully jarred up another sample, labeled it, and we sent it off to the lab for testing.
The results are jarring.
And you know what? No arsenic. Okay, maybe the Rogue River was just diluting the stuff too much. We decided to get closer to the source of this toxic threat. We went right up to the mouth of the Evans Creek, just before where it dumps into the Rogue, to see what the concentrations were like there. Scooped up a good sample, jarred it up, labeled it carefully, and sent it off for testing. Well, surely this is going to show us something, right? But you know what? No arsenic. All right, surely we're missing something here. So we went upstream, just below the field or dam site. I mean, okay, here's the water coming right off the dam sediments, right? And decided to take a sample here. If there's toxins in the water, it's going to be here, right where the water washes them down into the creek. And sure enough, we took another sample, very carefully scooping up the water. There we go. Wow, that looks like dangerous stuff, doesn't it? Jarred it up. Yeah, get that lid on there tight. And we very carefully labeled it. Come on, make with the pen already. And there we go. So we got a sample from just below the field or dam, right where the water washes off these dangerous sediments. And you know what? No arsenic. At this point, someone might be thinking, hey, maybe we took it to a lab that's not really skilled enough to do this job. Maybe it's not certified to handle sediments and solids, but we took these samples to Nielsen Research Corporation. And of course, we checked online to affirm that they are the most highly certified lab in Southern Oregon, and they're qualified to handle the water testing, the sediment testing, etc. The certifications are pretty darn impressive there. So what was the net result of this huge scare? The lab that created that scary-sounding arsenic report hit up the county commissioners for a $135,000 contract just for the first year of a 5-year contract. We got our samples tested for $38 a piece. Well, it might appear that there's considerable cost savings available by having open bidding on this kind of testing. If you'd like to learn more about this, visit americaspeakout.com. We're going to put some of the documents and relative videos, including this one, online.
Okay.
Now, one of the things we do
let's see.
here is we try to enable you to watch the videos without our blathery comments and to go to the website and check it out for yourself. Doesn't mean we're endorsing the website, but if you want to go see what they have to say, go see. Okay, and here's where you look.
Yeah, it's a pretty generic looking site at this point, but it has brief little description there. It has the video, and then there are PDFs of the reports and things of that nature connected to it, and the qualifications of the Nielsen Research Corporation and things of that nature. So if you want to check that out for yourself, that is americaspeakout.com.
Now, this doesn't mean that we're saying that everything that a couple of people said, Alan Ayer, everything that Cope said, everything that Joseph Rice said, everything that Cheryl Walker said, that it's all lies. We're not saying that.
Yeah.
But we are saying, wouldn't it be nice if Simon Hare, if they'd listened to him at all, and he's saying, did we really find the best way to do this? I mean, is this really
That's right.
No,
Well,
we're
listen,
going to do it. We're going to do it. Well, no, wait a minute.
You have to listen. You have to give credit to these people. I don't care what you think of them. They potentially just saved the county $135,000
a year for 5 years. Yeah.
Right. So
$500,000.
Yeah, this is no small potatoes here, and they deserve the credit for doing this. And not only that, this other lab deserves credit because they care enough about the people of Grants Pass. They're willing to test it 52 times
for free.
And these other people were only going to do like 3 or 4 tests.
And the best part about it is they were dared to do so. Just like Simon Hare said, well, why don't you just take us to the Ethics Commission, Mr. Matthews? Well, we did. Yeah. And so did these guys. And so that's what we need. Look, we're not going to be getting help from Salem. You're not going to get help from the UN in New York that's going to come marching on down here with blue berets enforcing the law. It's up to us.
Well, thank God.
Yeah, right. And when we see something that's wrong, we need to be enabling each other. Not this imperial court, but we need to be, and we use information to at least raise the question, not to declare guilty. Well, I think they're guilty because the OGC found them to be so. But anyway,
but you know what?
Ask questions.
Right. And you know, this fantastic illustration that took place here today is that, number one, it proved that they don't really care about how they spend your money. Their competence comes into question here because you're just going to swallow anything that anybody tells you. I mean, I'm tempted to come up with some cockamamie story and sends a surrogate in there because they're never going to give it to me. But, you know, maybe I could get some, flunky to go in there and pitch them a story and they get, a couple $100,000 out of these guys.
Well, that almost happened. Remember that guy that came in here? What was that guy's name? The one that said, I've already got a deal made with Jackson County and he didn't have a deal? Whoever that guy was.
Yeah,
but,
I know
he had them all
about.
buffaloed. They were all willing to do it immediately. Well, just tell us what happens with Jackson County, and then he couldn't deliver.
Yeah, but so this points out that when you vote for people and you expect that they understand what they're doing, listen, it's quite likely that Simon, Cheryl, and Keith never dealt with contractors. They never dealt with vetting people for competence or whatever. And so on top of that, you have no guarantee that the person that you're putting in there is going to care about your money as much as you do. And
well, they do have experience with dealing with the old boys network. And this guy, not to blame him, he can be involved in politics all he wants to. He's a political operative. He's one of the top people in one of the local parties. And so, he's got an inside track.
You're talking about Eric Shaftsma.
I am.
Yeah. Right, and that's entirely possible that this was some sort of quid pro quo to something.
I love it when you speak Latin.
Unaware of the trade-off there, but there's no guarantee, and we should be very listen. You could almost recruit somebody off the street and do better than these people.
They did.
Really,
they
you
did.
Could.
These people came off the street, but they dared them to go do something about it, and guess what? They did.
Right.
And this is just one example.
Right. And you know what? If we could take Veek and Lori and replace a couple of those commissioners, I think that'd be a fantastic thing.
Oh man, can you see these guys on the budget committee?
Yeah, it would be a little bit different. So, I mean, these are the kind of people that we need to have in there. And you need to be watching to make sure that people care enough about you to spend your money wisely and not, like a drunken sailor someplace. They literally were about to, throw $500,000 and blow it out of a cannon. And that should never, ever happen. They ought to have 2 or 3 layers of, examination there where one person is, if somebody's messing up here, that somebody else is going to catch it and go, hey, wait a minute. No, there's another company here we should look into. They don't care enough to dig that deep.
Well, you remember the city council meeting, business as usual. Person after person came up to these guys for this thing and said, this just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right. Even Simon Hare was siding with this. No, it doesn't seem right. Oh, no, we're going to do it. Well, you have to do it. Think about the children, Mike. We have to do this. Yes. And then these people come in and they say, not only is this false, but we can get it for free. Really? For free? They spent the money out of their pockets. Yeah. They're not listening to us. And so there's a solution for that. Get rid of these guys.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the other solution? Try to educate them? Make them drink the water? I don't think so.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I mean, some people you're not going to be able to fix. And you can't fix these people. And listen, we really shouldn't want to fix people. Public servants are meant to be in there for a short period of time and then go back to their lives.
Absolutely.
It's what was originally intended. It was never intended that you become, royalty.
So what we need on the budget committee is we need these 2 people. Literally. I mean, yes. Let's put them on the budget committee. And so you'd have 2 new commissioners. You'd have Simon Hare. Okay, you can sit right over there, Simon. And then you would have Peggy Goodwin and these 2 guys. Is there a better solution?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'll tell you something. I think anybody who has sat on that budget committee before that was in the majority there ought to never come back again. Because, and it's funny because I said as a joke at a weekly business session, quite a while ago that it's clear it was right after the levy was defeated. I came in there and told him, if you remember the Seinfeld episode where George Costanza just decides he's going to do everything exactly the opposite of what his normal inclination is. And I suggested maybe you guys ought to start trying to do that because they had this track record. Everything that they ever touch just turns to garbage. And their anti-Midas touch is still intact here. It's still
their great triumph is they tore down a building. But then they didn't have any plan of what to do next, and they still don't have a plan. How long ago was that? They didn't have any plan. First you have the plan, and then you tear it down. Really? I mean, you need to look this up in a book somewhere? You need to have legal counsel tell you what the law is? I mean, this is just common sense, isn't it?
I don't know that you need to have that elaborate of a plan to tear down a building. You just go, we're going to tear down the building this week. Move on. The only thing that stopped that building from being torn down in 1 week after the conception of the idea to do it.
Here it comes.
It is just all the BS that you're required to do in order to take down a building like that.
And the other thing was that they had said there were 3 floors and there were really 4.
Yeah, well,
it wasn't a hidden floor. Yeah, it was a little bit of a problem, right?
Yeah, but really, listen, you ought to call the contractor on that and say, hey, listen, you gave me a price.
But who wrote that contract where, and they, even Simon asked that, no, it wasn't Simon, it was Keith, said, well, shouldn't they take it on? No, the way the contract is written, it's not their fault. Yeah. What do you mean it's not their fault? They were professionals. They come in and they do this, and it's not their fault? No, $100,000 cost overrun wasn't in the Courier. We told you about it. Courier's not going to tell you about that. What? How's that?
Anyway, to some things all up, a fantastic thing happened today. This is one of those things that you remember, like the defeat of the 7 cheese pizza. It was great. It's just, they're up there, they're stunned. They know darn well that they're not going to say, oh, well, we're sticking to this. Oh no, they all went, oh well, I guess we have to reconsider this. Yes, you do.
Yeah, but then they're just going
And
to
thank
wait.
God.
They're going to wait, and they're going to press it on through, and then Simon's going to say a couple of things, and they're going to do it probably anyway. But we'll find out.
I
Okay.
hope you're wrong about that.
Well, you're going to find out. Now, we'll say thankful things about this on Thanksgiving Day. Seems appropriate. We
Yes.
can do a nice, happy show. All happy. We're so happy certain people have left county government. But tomorrow is Wednesday, and so we're going to do one of our special shows where you get a chance to vote. It'll be on something that you've seen a little bit before, but you never got a chance to vote on that. And then we're getting a lot more responses. I'm thankful for that from people. And then we're sending out almost generic emails based on your vote and what people have said to us about this. I want to make that clear. It's based on your vote and then what other people have said, and we're kind of blending them together and sending them out, and nobody will know who you are, and you've got no problems with us or with anybody else. You're not going to be on a list of Nigerian bankers. Don't worry about that, okay? Or on Keith's hate list. I mean, this county has had a blacklist in the past. They really did. They had a blacklist. They don't call it that. They call it citizen input.